Hi, good evening. Welcome once again to the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon Show. We also coming to you live on YouTube. You could also get it there on the Daybreak News, TBN. Wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, a good night to you. I hope that you would have been having a good evening or a good morning. And I hope that you enjoy MASH. MASH, lots of rains the last couple of days. Even today, and it washed out the good part of the day yesterday. But Guyanese in the true style, they turned up and they would have had a good time. And I'm glad in our country, we've worked hard, we've suffered for a very long time. It's about time that we really start to enjoy ourselves. And MASH, there's never any time like MASH and Christmas time. And the people really had a good time. Freddie Kissoon, 53 years of Republic anniversary in Guyana, and it is something to look back upon from where we were and where we've come to at this point in time. And of course, before I say anything, I gotta tell you something that happened on Wednesday, but I'm gonna come back to that in a very short while. An experience that would blow your mind away, and I could not believe that this thing happened. I had to come here and share it with the people today. But I'd want to say congratulations, first of all, to all who would have won the different competitions within Matrimony, and of course the Chutney Monarch, Monty Singh, 4 times champion, and the soca monarch, Adrian Dutchin, singing a song called Place Nice. Place Nice, Guyana is a nice place. Congratulations to all the winners and especially to those two folks. I want to say good night to my co host, Freddie Kissoon. It's always a pleasure. Sometimes it's not a pleasure being talking to him. He could be a pain, but he has his heart in the right place. I want to say good night to him. And I go straight to tonight is going to be the night that we open the phone lines, but we have a few remarks. Don't call now. Listen to us a little while, and then we're going to be back with you. There's a couple of things we got to say first. Freddie, good night, my friend. Go right ahead.
Hi, good night, Leonard. I'll pretend I didn't hear the nonsense you just said. You missed something. We're live on Guyanese Critic Facebook page. If you go there on Guyanese Critic Facebook page, you'll see us live. Secondly, our apologies for Wednesday evening. There was a blackout, and Mr. Ravi Dev, Leonard, and I couldn't be on the program. We waited, but the blackout persisted. So we apologize for that, and we apologize to Mr. Dev. Mr. Dev is one of Guyana's foremost intellectuals. Like him or not, the man is an intellectual giant. And so look out for him next week, because he came armed to analyze race and class. And this is Forbes Burnham's birthday time, so he wants to talk about Forbes Burnham. So we'll have Ravi. Now, there are a few things both Gildarie and I want to talk about before we open up the lines. We are going until 10 o'clock, so it's not that you will miss out. It's not our program when it's called in. There are a couple of things, a couple is two. There are a few things we want to talk about. At least I have a few things. Gildarie may have a couple of things, which are two. He wants to talk about some snake that almost ate him alive. I guess he said that's a big shocker. I don't know how much shocking it is. We'll have to wait and hear about this snake business that almost bit him to death. But a few things that's on my mind. Guyana has been suspended from a very important international body, Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. 50 countries have signed up to that, and they have to give an account to this body about industries that are extractive: gold, bauxite, oil. And it's generally a recognized body based in Denmark. We have a body here that feeds that information to Denmark. And that body is headed by former UG Pro-Chancellor and former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Fiji, Dr. Prem Wazir. But it also has civil society persons inside. And this is the problem with this country. How did those two persons arrive to be in the local chapter of EITI? Who nominated them? What was the transparency process? The government of Guyana said two persons have been holding up the work and they're responsible for the suspension. That's because of what they have been doing. Those two persons are Mike McCormack and Van der Vera. She goes under the name of Radzik, but that is one of the members of the Vera's dynasty, the people who own Houston and Versailles, a super rich family. The government says they're going to expose them because they have not been doing what they're supposed to do. My problem is why Leonard Gildarie, Ravidev, why not people from the Indian Arrival Committee, the Guyana Private Sector Commission, the African Development Association Act? Why aren't these people inside the Guyana EITI? How did McCormack get there? Mr. McCormack heads an organization called Guyana Human Rights Association for the past 47 years. I was a UG student when Mr. McCormack was head of that body in 1974. The human rights body is defunct. It doesn't exist. How Mr. McCormack came to be there? Who elected Mr. McCormack? Then there is Van der Vera Radzik. Which organization she belongs to? What happens is these people circulate themselves among the Western embassies, among certain influential foreign actors, and they catapult themselves into these organizations. Who are the people that comprise the Guyana Human Rights Association? Which body Van der Vera represents? We have about 30 civil society groups. Why a lawyer like Mr. Ralph Ramkaran is not in the local body for EITI? Anyway, the government said they're going to deal with Van der Vera, Radzik, and Mr. Mike McCormack. There is something else I want to discuss because it's the anniversary of the Ukrainian war, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I'm going to go in my pocket and read today from an editorial of the Starbuck News. And if you don't have to be intellectually strong to read that editorial to know who wrote it. It's one of the diplomats from the Western embassies that wrote it. Now, here is the ending lines of that editorial. I'm reading it. This is what it said. It is important that Russia is defeated, not just for the sake of Ukraine, but also for the sake of freedom in the world as a whole. I don't have a problem with condemning Russia invading Ukraine. It's wrong. It's wrong, and that war must stop. But if Russia is defeated, it's the sake of its freedom. It's for the sake of freedom in the world as a whole. Do you know? A few days ago, Israel bombed Syria and 5 civilians died. Do you know a few days ago, 10 people were killed by the Israeli army in a place that Israel does not own, called the West Bank, which is the Palestinian land. How, if Russia is defeated, there will be freedom for the Palestinians? There wasn't a country called Ukraine, and there wasn't a country called Russia 50 years ago. And 50 years ago, the Palestinians have been treated in an apartheid system by the Israelis. How come if Russia is defeated, there'll be freedoms for people in the world? You know, the Indian foreign minister is the star of global diplomacy. That man is charismatic. That man can speak. That man is an intellectual giant. And he put it in a perspective that none of us could put it. He said, Whenever Europe has a problem, it becomes a world problem. Why is Ukraine a world problem? Why is Ukraine a problem for the rest of the world? And India, China, Brazil, Pakistan, and a whole set of countries say, listen, we are not taking sides. Let me finish this and let Gildarie come in with the snake that nearly swallowed him. I do not support the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Russia must get out of there. Russia must stop. But there are other problems we need to focus on. We need to stop apartheid in the land that belongs to the Palestinians. We need to focus on that. Don't let this editorial by the Starbuck News and a statement issued on the anniversary of the Russian invasion by the following embassies: the EU, the British, American, and Canadian embassy. The four of them came together and issued a joint statement. You need to ask yourself why Brazil has an embassy here, Mexico has an embassy here, Chile has an embassy here, why India has an embassy here, why the four Western embassies issue that statement. Shouldn't they have gone to other embassies? They probably went. And India said, no, we don't want to be part of that statement. Chile probably said, we don't want to be part of that statement. It comes back to the Indian foreign minister. When Europe has a problem, it becomes a world problem. I'll let Gildarie tell us, because he told me he wants to talk about the snake. I think the snake nearly killed him.
No, but Freddie, come back to the EITI situation. Look, if the government don't put people, I think the EITI is part of not a government initiative, but I think they have a hand in allowing it to be set up. Now, you're gonna be damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you don't put civil society into the fray, you're going to be accused of not having an inclusive government. And if you put them, who are the people that you're going to put? So here it is that you have it. I saw the statement by the president, and I'm wondering, because Guyana is in a bad light there, people are supposed to be doing the work, but then a whole bunch of people have been taking part. And ask them what they're doing. It's good for them to make statements. Well, when it comes to serving the people of Guyana, square pegs and round hole, Freddie Kissoon, you name how many. You talk about the Guyana human rights, and you see many organizations. When it's good, there's an event, big lofty speeches, but after then you don't hear nothing. As somebody's hungry, you don't even hear anything from them.
This country,
We have a bunch of how you say it. Let me don't say.
Gildarie, before you come to the snake, we have an incredible country that is not reproduced elsewhere. Nobody knows who runs the Guyana human rights. Nobody knows where Vander.
But you're giving them credence by talking about them.
And the thing is, these are the very people that every day wants transparency, accountability from the government. It must be accountability and transparency from all of us, including the way you live your life, because you're a public figure. I can't go in a bank and abuse a manager. Nobody's going to listen to this program anymore, because they're going to say, he come here and he talk about moral conduct. Look what he did in the bank. I mean, the Starbuck News told one of the most high-level scholars Guyana produced. That man's a high-level scholar at one of the 10 top universities in the United States, the American University in Washington, D.C. We will not carry your letters because you're criticizing civil society organizations. How could you ask the government to be tolerant, to be accountable, and you, as a member of the Fourth Estate, powerful media house in Guyana, telling an international scholar you are not carrying his letters? These are the things that really get to you. We must all be transparent. We must all be accountable. You know, we're going to ask an ambassador to come here, one of the ambassadors, Van Ness from Holland, who's the EU ambassador. After 6 months here, he came here and awarded Anand Prasad, the editor of Starbuck News, the Embassy's Human Rights Award. After 6 months, Leonard Gildarie, I've lived all my life in Guyana. And I don't know what human rights Anand Prasad have done for this country. You can go in Starbucks and ask to see Anand Prasad. The security will escort you. Anand Prasad lived in one of the biggest mansions in this house, in this country, and you can't go to his gate. Swami Akshavanandan has built a school in Cornel Ida and has done yeoman service for the kids of this country. That man has literally, with his own money and funds from elsewhere, built a top secondary school in Guyana and gives dozens of scholarships to students who cannot afford it. And Mr. Van Ness from the EU Embassy could overlook that fantastic achievement and give Anand Prasad. Gildarie, can we hear, before the lines are open, can we hear about how this snake nearly killed you?
I don't know, man. You're trying to bring down
What
the
is
snake.
snake?
Okay. You're asking about the snake. Let me tell you what happened. I got up on Wednesday morning, normal day. I got hit in the road. And I told the son, he's preparing to go. So it's the start of the car. I got a quick meeting to go to. So he started the car, and while driving along out from Diamond there, I saw the dashboard lights were on, the engine lights and so. So driving along, coming to Mocha, I said, no, you know what? I got a little worried. I said, let me pull the car to the corner. And I buzzed the bonnet. And when I buzzed the bonnet, a snake is sitting on top of the engine. A little fine long one, green and yellow.
Oh, that's
But
a harmless snake.
No, I didn't know, but hold on.
Get out here. I'm
Right.
not operated
So
to
I didn't
change.
do anything. I didn't do anything. So I watched him crawl along the back and I said, this snake is going to jump down and get out of there. So I jump in the car back and I thinking to myself, I hope the snake can remain in the car and crawl through them vents or anything. Gildarie on the back road by in front of the cultural center and singing and driving and thinking about the
You
meeting.
heard a noise in the bonnet.
I looking through the snake crawling through the vent. Gildarie stopped the car in the middle of the road and hazard, I slammed it into park and out of the car in the middle of Mandela Avenue in front of the thing. Everybody wants to know what is happening. It's that snake. Nobody stopped Freddie Kissoon. Nobody.
You tell him a snake
Eh?
in your car and there's
The snake is on the dashboard, back and forth, back and forth. I said, what the hell am I going to do? I have about 5 minutes more for the meeting. I went into the back of the trunk and I got the wheel spanner. And I've
didn't
never
kill that
no,
thing,
no,
man.
I didn't kill it. I didn't kill it. I was trying to hook him out to throw him outside. So the thing went over to the back seat, went over back to the front seat, onto the dashboard again. And then he come down to the front seat and crawl out through the open door. Because I said, me ain't going to no meeting, and I ain't driving the car, even the snake in the car. The damn thing I'm thinking, I hope this thing can crawl through. And I watching something coming through, and he was so fast this thing coming through. My foot is here and this thing is here. Freddie Kissoon, I don't know what you would have done.
Well, I know I went to clean our tanks. Those was in the bad days in which and I saw a snake in our water tank. And that snake, the water tank is padlocked. Right? You have to padlock your water tanks because people, I don't know how a snake could have got in there. It was one of those.
I
One of those
think
bad
it crawled,
times in my
yeah.
life.
It was probably a little wet and it probably want a warm place and it went there. But I couldn't
Those are
imagine.
harmless snakes.
No, but I don't know, but it came out and I'm glad that I didn't have anything. But it was a really scary thing. A snake coming through the vent of the car while you were driving. What do you do? I don't know, but in any case, there's enough of that. But that was something I don't know. I've never heard a story like that. I went to meet the guy at the meeting, and he said, "So why didn't you take a video of it so you can put it on TikTok?" I said, "You think I'm panicking there, wanting to know what kind of snake this is, and you think I would have the sense to be able to put on my camera to take it on? No.
It's
In
not,
any case,
it's not TikTok.
Huh?
It's they're not calling it TikTok.
We didn't get into you and the man
TikTok.
story. Okay, folks.
You could have called critic. Critic is in English, you could have called critic.
Folks, the line is yours. We've spoken enough tonight. It's 231-2982. Let's hear those calls. Let's talk about anything.
And
231-2982. And of course, if you're overseas and you want to call us on WhatsApp, it's 637-1071. That's a WhatsApp number.
repeat
Let
that
us
again.
hear those calls coming in. Make it short and snappy so we could be able to hear, some of the problems, things that bother you, things that really irk you, and you want somebody to pay attention, or if you believe that you should just offer an opinion about something very quickly, I think somebody is already here. Let's go. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, Leonard and Freddie. Your YouTube channel, there's no volume there, or there's no audio. On Facebook, yes.
All right, I'm going to make sure that the technician,
Anyway,
YouTube
but
volume.
my contribution is Freddie spoke about the Ukraine Russia thing, and Freddie seems to have a little bit of soft spot there for Russia.
I don't have a soft spot for Russia. I have a soft spot for the Palestinians. Russia's wrong. But this editorial that says if Russia is defeated, it means freedom for all of us. The Palestinians will have freedom if Russia is defeated. I'm not concerned. I am against the Russian invasion. There's no soft spot there. But my concern is for the Palestinians. My concern is Syria is being bombed. So we have to talk about those things too.
Okay, another thing, Fred, is that you would have spoken very, very deeply and I think a little emotional about Modi and his behavior when he was chief minister for Gujarat. And it's true that Muslims were slaughtered and whatever. But there's also cases, or a very, very strong case about Hindus in Pakistan. Hindus in Pakistan were 33%. They have reduced to 3%, right? Not because of their own choice, they were forced to. Now, I want you to speak about that too. Condemn that. Hindus in Pakistan have no rights, right? I know I'm sounding a little radical here, but that's a fact, Freddie Kissoon.
All right.
We've told the operator about YouTube. Audio.
Thank you very much for coming through there, sir. Thank you very much to that point.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Please tell the operator about YouTube.
Yeah. 231-2982 or 637-1071 WhatsApp if you're overseas or you want to get through with us. I think the operators indicated that the problem fixed or there's no issue there. Yes, let's go right there. Yes, good evening, caller. Yes, kindly lower your volume right away to whatever you're listening to. Yes. Yes. You still have that volume on, sir. Please take it off. Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, I'm calling to Freddie and Gildarie here.
Yes, you're on to the show. Go right ahead.
Yes, good night, Mr. Freddie.
Good night,
sir.
I would like to make a bit of observation. That man Charles going over Globe's father. He's always calling our Guyanese to rally against the government and the Exxon over the oil deal or what have you. And when he has any important speaker for the government, he has nothing to say about it. When he got some puppet, then he is talking a lot of nonsense about the rally the Guyanese to comprise against the government and Exxon and what have you. Or when anybody from the government, he doesn't say anything. I would not like to draw for any attention to it.
Okay.
He's not living here.
But that's the problem. Saul, if you look at the people who are rallying against this Exxon contract, there's two unbearable depravities about their lives. And I mean really sickening depravities. One is that they live in countries in which they themselves are benefiting from the fossil fuel industry. Since the Ukrainian war, the United States is looking all over for oil. That's number one. They don't. There's a pipeline being built in Canada, and the Canadians who don't want eggs on air don't say anything about that. The second thing.
That is ridiculous, man.
The
That is ridiculous.
but I don't know who's I don't know who this guy is or what have you, and I don't know how long he's lived outside or what have you. I am concerned. I am concerned with people who live in Guyana. The second thing to note is none of those people live in Guyana and know about the lack of resources that we had to endure the past 10 years. You know how many times the past 15 years I called the police station and they didn't have vehicles? You know something, sir? These hypocrites that stay overseas and tell people about the fossil fuel industry here, you should see the gymnasium of a rundown high school. Even our university don't have such a gymnasium. You know how far more we have to go, even with the oil money that is coming in. You know how far more we have to go to provide things for our people. And these fools.
Why they question the avatar? Why they question?
All right.
Why question the
Why they don't question their own leaders in the countries they live?
But he just really got some kind of somewhat.
I don't know anything about that guy. So,
but I have an alternate view of that. It is good for society to have, and I understand that to have debates. You're gonna have people disagree and people agree, but of course, when you gotta make sense. I understand all of that, but I just want to make that point.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming too, sir. Have a good night. Bye bye. Freddie Kissoon, I want to ask you something, and for the sake of healthy debate and discussions in this country, there's a call coming through. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, good night, sir.
Good night. Go right ahead.
Mr. Gildarie,
Yes, sir.
I have something to share with you. Good night
Good night.
to the panel and to Mr. Freddie Kissoon,
Sure.
and good night to Guyana.
Good night.
This is nip it in the bud. I went out on Friday last to collect my granddaughter at a school at Woodley Park. There was an incident took place there where a guy went in the school yard and thing with a doctor. But the story behind of it that Dr. Hines is talking about with a comrade from Fort Wellington is saying that there's racial tension going on in the community, that elderly people and students beat those children them out on the following Thursday. I went out and doing an investigation. Guys, I traverse that area on a regular basis. I collect my two grandchildren from school. I went out and tried to get the neighbors and the people around the school area to tell me the truth. And you know what is it? Dr. Hines and this guy from Fort Wellington, I don't know, can't remember his name, on 101, some political program they're having, right? Talking about racial tension at Woodley Park. Sir, this thing is dangerous for our community, and to belittle Woodley Park to that extent. The guy from the school, the child from the school, come out to the road, having an interference with the next young man, and the young man father come, he was drunk, a bit drunk, and he come with the box and thing, you know, we misbehave. But nothing of this sort of racialness hasn't passed there. I talk to each neighbors. I'm a Muslim, sir. I mean, I've lived in that Woodley Park for the past 30 years. I go to that area on a regular basis, especially when school is on. I have two grandchildren, one going to the primary and one going to the kindergarten. And so a lot of people know me well. My name is Akbar. And these things that happen in this community that Dr. Hines is talking about bar settlement and Woodley Park, so I would like to denounce it, let the goal of Guyana know that this is total hypocritical. This thing is being perpetrated throughout the world to hear that such incident never took place.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And so I would want to say to you that when we talk about these things, sometimes it is my opinion that some things should not be bothered with because you give strength and you give a lot of power to those people by even acknowledging that it happens. But I thank you. I hear your point.
Yeah,
Thank you
but
very much for coming
these
through.
things, these people
It bothers you,
themselves,
right?
what they are doing, they are sending a stain to a community that hasn't done anything of that sort.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying. So thank you very much. You have denounced Dr. Hines and you believe that this is not so. And I thank you very much for that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, caller. Hello. Hello. Could you lower your volume? Take it off completely, please. Go right ahead. Hello. I don't think that person is ready. My apologies. Yes. Good evening. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Go right ahead.
The guy on Globe Span mostly pull up his Charles to promote me.
I could barely hear you. Could you speak up a little, please? I think we lost that call. Let us see. There's a caller come through. Good evening, caller.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Goben Harbajan, how are you doing?
Midday, how are you doing? Good night, Freddie.
Good
Good
night,
night,
good night, sir.
Gildarie, something I want to bring to the public attention. Yesterday in East Borby, so basically, we have a lot of marsh float went on. And I was at a couple different areas, especially Afro community. And I participate in different community fairs, so I have to show my face. And I have the privilege to meet Norton. I spent about maybe 35 minutes with him on one-on-one because at a union at 53. So some of those pictures would have been posted up on social media, which I post up some. Because as an activist for development and ideas, my objective is to, talk to any political leaders and share my views on what's best for Guyana. And you should see some of the racial things that went up against me with the discussion with Norton and our March Day, Republic Day for all Guyanese. I don't know why some of the Borbish and predominantly Indian area believe that in Borbies that March is more of a racial thing rather than a national thing. If you look at most of the float, 90% of the people was on this float was Afro. And you will find, the people peeping and watching. But the reception was not good as a Borbiser. Official in my region should promote and encourage the One Guyana initiative by reaching out to these communities. Some of the floats I didn't see no officials. But my presence was most of the place, which I have no fear and I'm fearless.
I hear what you're saying there, Gobin, and it amazes me that we actually have the time in a country that's so fast paced in its development that we actually have time. And I heard what you said there, and I disagree with what you said there. There's no Afro village. There have to be an Afro-dominated village. That's the thing. I think that's what you really want to see. Our conversation got to start changing in this country. How we start doing things, and some things we should not even be given power to them by even discussing it. Because the minute that we start doing that, and as a individual too, that's within the sphere of being in the public eye, sometimes we got to roll with the punches. They got a couple of people who just troll people, and you got to listen. You know, much body does be talking about Freddie Kissoon and myself, and we just don't bother with them because we have our job to do. If you bother with those people, you're gonna be wasting your time. You don't have time to
Don't
waste.
let people get into your head,
No,
sir.
no, go Ben. Don't allow that.
But Freddie, one of the things
Yeah.
that we must promote that government official in all 10 executive region that we have is that they need to involve more in especially things like martial or national holiday rather than segregate themselves. When you bridge gaps and you bridge bridges, that's what make a
Well, I think the ministers were out on March Day. Their
No,
photographs.
I'm talking about what about this about recently.
Oh well, I don't.
What
know.
is stop? And let me ask you a question, Gobin.
Regional official.
I'm asking you, Gobin. what is stopping people from putting on their own float instead of waiting on the government to say
No, I'm not talking about
patriot?
overflow, Gildarie, you misunderstood me. I'm saying regional officials. Remember, region have an obligation. You have councillors who could have reached out to different areas and participate. Show that there is no barriers in division. They must participate and be show their face. Faces mean a lot than segregate. Well, you will only find when the minister comes, yes, reception is perfect, but the ministers can be all over because regional officials are very key people in all 10 democratic regions. They must come out and re-interact with community. That's how you bridge gap. Use those opportunities, and I didn't see that. Then, and to add to that, that the certain areas, right? These people, when the float was going, and like you said, like Freddie said, we have to start to learn to ignore things. But you can only block so much thing when people on social media is a powerful tool, and people are typing negative things, and it's coming from both ways, but mostly predominantly was making too much negative things on Facebook. I screenshot a lot of it and I send it back to them in a private message and say I disappointed in y'all.
Yeah,
All right,
I
all
think
right.
we wait. All right, well, thank you very much, Gobin, and
We're gonna have
hope
you
that
back in the
people hear
program.
that.
We're gonna have you back in the program, man.
Thank you very much for coming through,
Thank you,
sir.
thank you, brother.
Bye bye. And I think, let me see. All right, there's a call coming through. Go right ahead, caller. Good day.
Hi. Good night. Good night to you, Leonard. Good night to Mr. Kissoon.
Good night.
I must applaud you guys first and foremost for the wonderful job that you're doing. Leonard, I am calling from Grove on the east bank of Demerara, and you know this voice.
Yes.
I am calling in regards to the situation that we're facing here with the thieves and them.
You're talking about bandits. Thieves or bandits. People break into people's place or people robbing people.
People who robbing people on the street.
It's a problem there with the Caneville and the thing area. I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah, and right now they got bandits as well breaking the place because look, last week my daughter and her husband was robbed right at School Street there at gunpoint, right? Early in the morning while he was going to work. 4
What?
days after that, thief man breaking the house, bandits breaking the house. This is the kind of thing that we're facing in this area, and we're begging the police and them to do more patrols in the area so that we can have things, and we're not getting no satisfaction.
What time your daughter and her husband was robbed? What time in the morning?
6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
And Mr. Kissoon, this is a practical thing going on every morning. Practically, more people getting robbed.
Well, the problem that you have there, Shazam, that I'm very familiar with that area there. The police and everybody knows from the intelligence gathering that the bandits would be robbing
Yeah.
people, and a lot of them are young guys smoking up and things like that. They run into the area of Caneville and some other point at the back there. Good, decent folks in those areas, but the police knows it's a haven for criminals at the back there. And I can't understand in the crime fighting why you don't position police or other crime fighters around that area there, unless, of course, they're part and parcel of the entire thing. I don't want to suggest that. But could it
come
be?
on, Come on.
But Freddie Kissoon.
Yeah, well,
All
Yeah,
right,
put
so
it
Shazam,
down.
I hear what you're saying there. I hope that they're paying attention, the authorities are paying attention, and that
I
Grove,
myself.
Grove, that School Street area there has been a haven for criminals, and I've known of many cases of people being robbed, little housewives, people going to the market, people going to the jobs, and they got to walk with a phone inside the boots or something. That's how bad the situation is. Thank you very much for coming through.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome, get under that. Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye. Good evening, caller. Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Gildarie, good night.
Yes, go right ahead, sir.
There's a guy from horse telling you really concerning the road. I don't know if you get to take a look at the picture that I sent to you.
I saw it this morning. I happened to see it, and I'm going to send it back to the authorities again. I'm not sure. I want you to do me a favor.
Uh-huh.
I want you to take those pictures and take it to the NDC. I understand talking to a minister. A minister told me that the Grove the Grove NDC and the horse selling NDC are probably two of the strongest NDC in this country. Their collections are above 70% of the households, or what they're supposed to collect in rates and taxes. By the same conclusions, I would want to
But we
say,
don't have periods and tax here by any
no,
chance.
no, no, but still, they're supposed to fall within that area there.
This guy is
Start with them. Yeah, you've
this
been
guy's been very
complaining.
persistent.
Yeah,
That-
yeah, yeah. And I
we need to get
understand.
we need to get that road bill, man.
Back at the back and left the front.
We need to get that. What's going on there, Gildarie?
I'm gonna put it up.
And they send somebody and the guy said no contract and sign, and then they call and say they no tender for the road, and I just said I just asked him, Mr. Shabral, I send the message again, and they said they're certain sure that the contract signed for this road. And now they say no contract is signed, so I don't really know what's going on here.
Yep. Yeah, it is. I don't know, but I know that there's a significant number of
But this
contracts.
guy is doing a very good job popularizing
Who's
this
that?
dilemma, this fellow. This is the third time he has
Yes.
called.
I don't understand, though.
Yes.
Is one set of people living in here or everybody living in here? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right. All right. Thank you very much for coming to and raising this
But
issue.
keep persisting. Keep calling, right?
Good, okay.
Thank you. Goodbye. Hi. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
Good. Pretty good. Lower that volume there, please.
Yes, I'm lowering the volume. Let's talk some cricket, Freddie and Gildarie.
Yes, sir.
Cricket.
Yes, West Indies have picked a T20 team and ODI team to South Africa.
Yes.
There has been a deafening silence on the omission of Shimron Hetimaya, Chorfin Rutherford, and we are having two treasures here. These guys, they do their trade in different franchises. They have immense strike rate. Rutherford has a strike rate of 184. Shimron Hetimaya has a strike rate of 140 something. And the West Indies board picked a team. There has been a deafening silence from the cricket authorities as it relates to the omission of Hetimaya and Rutherford from the West Indies T20 team. And gentlemen, I think this is a matter of national importance. This concerns our cricketers, representation of our talent, and definitely we need to have someone saying to us, look, Hetimaya was omitted because of this, Rutherford was omitted because of this. Don't leave us, the cricket-loving public, keep guessing all the time, gentlemen.
Yeah, you're saying they need to offer an explanation. Yeah, they need to offer, because I think Rutherford is not available. He's playing in one of those T20 leagues somewhere in the world. I've been reading about his performance, so it's quite possible he was not available.
Both of them, both of that league has been completed.
You know, Adnan Lal in the 2020 election tell a reporter you'll forever be baffled. I think you will forever be baffled because if you're still trying to figure out West Indies cricket, I don't know. You got a lot of patience. I don't try to figure it out. You go with the flow. They're going to hit or they're going to miss. That's as simple as that.
Anyway,
it breaks your heart.
Thanks for coming through.
No problem.
Thank you very much. But I hear what you're saying. It breaks all our hearts. 231-2982. You call into the Freddie Kissoon Gildarie Show or Gildarie Freddie Kissoon Show. And if you're overseas and you want to WhatsApp us, 637-1071. Good evening, caller.
Hello, good evening.
Go right ahead.
I'd like to congratulate you all on the program.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate the government on the road network that they are doing. But I have a problem with the network that the road network that they are doing. Now, they are building these roads very narrow. That's number one.
Which road specifically are you talking about?
All the streets in the country area.
No, but the network, there's access roads, and then there's the networks that hooks up the East Bank and so on.
In the village.
Or in the village, you're talking about the village roads?
Yes.
Yes.
So these roads, they are doing it very narrow. And the substantial work they are doing, these roads are not building properly.
You know of any road like that's within your community that happened to?
Okay, I'll give you one reference. If you go in where Moripo is, what you call it Jangotong.
You live in Jangotong?
I know that road. I know that section.
Okay,
What's
if
happening
you go
there?
to Saturn Street in Jangotong, you'll see a road done last year, and it's already break up.
But you live in there, or you just went there when you saw it?
I have a house in that area, and I can carry you tomorrow. You check my number, and
Well, let me ask you a question. When you seen, were you there when it was being built?
I was there when they started to build it.
Did you say anything to the contractors?
Tell the contractor didn't work. Wherever you tell
No, sir. Start getting up, and I mean you. The rest of the people got to start getting up and start smelling the coffee. It's your tax dollars if you're paying tax.
I like you to go and film that road, and you find out from the people in the area, and then you'll know.
But what happened to the people of this country talking about everything else and can't talk to the contractor who's working for the people?
Hello, when you talk to the contractor, you remember, sir, the engineer.
You have somebody film them and send them to Gildarie and Freddie if you have a problem, if they have a problem with that.
Hello, where I'm living, they do a road, and they're supposed to put my shoulder. They didn't put it.
I hear what you're saying. I hear your frustration. A lot of people don't understand.
I talked to even the engineer, and when they say one thing, and when they finish, and do something else.
Well, I start taking the name of the engineers as well as the contractors, and when they don't toe the line, I said it. Throw the names out there. Let us hear. Freddie Kissoon screwed up. Gildarie screwed up. Let's hear them. Why we tolerate? You know how much money one of them contractors get for building up them road? You know how much money they're making? Now, I'm not saying that they haven't invested. I'm just saying you're being paid. Get the people job done. Why we tolerating the contractors to do it to us? All right. Thank you very much for coming through there. Hear what you're saying. Good evening, caller. Hello? Hello? I don't think the call is ready. Good evening, caller. Hello?
Good evening.
Hi, yes, good evening.
Yeah, I want to be quick and short.
Sure.
This thing about, I see a lot of advertisement before some programs about Guyana is the next Dubai. I would like to know if these people think that when the oil came out of the, wherever it's coming from, if a genie or a magic man came out with the oil and overnight things going to turn into whatever the Dubai or whatever they're talking about. And secondly, this guy Abidjan just said something about Mashumani and Indians participate in Guyana. Indians were under the Burma regime for a long while, and the Indians in Guyana is not like the Indians in Trinidad. We were carnival in Trinidad. Everybody's Indians in Guyana will probably take a long while to go get on that road in those behind those bands to gyrate and do whatever Abidjan think he wants them to do. So I hope we can find some understanding as to the situation of oil and where we are right now and where we used to be before. Thank you.
I thank you very much for that. And good point. What we should also acknowledge the fact that we could dream as a people, right, Freddie, to become a better country in this world. We have oil right now. There's nothing wrong with that. Good evening, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
A call concerning this ferry flying to this Berrima Way to Port Kaituma. There's a lot of problem going on here. This morning, the boat left with unknown to people. People don't get to put on the empty gas bottle or nothing. This is Saturday they're leaving. Unfortunately, they leave this morning without people knowing. At least I was.
Saturday coming, it was supposed to leave. Saturday coming.
Saturday will be tomorrow.
Oh.
And they left without people knowing when they were leaving?
Yeah, exactly, because there's normally put up a notice on a lantern post. There was no notice there yesterday.
All right, you have two very good ministers of public works. One is in there, and the other one in one Edgel. Somebody's called it 10 Edgel, but they're good ministers. What you should do, if you don't have the numbers, call me afterward. I'd give you Mr. Indar number. He like to hear things like this. If the people them supposed to left Saturday, and they left in 2 days before, you disrespect the people. Something, there got to be an explanation for that. So I think you might want to ask the minister directly what exactly happened because he's going to light fire under them. All
Okay
right?
then. Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much. A good day to the Region 1 folks. Good night, rather. Freddie Kissoon, somebody made a note and says that some of these roads that are being built in a very narrow way are because of the designs. You can't blame the contractors. I thank you very much for that. Um, we also have to blame the contractors for poor work because they were the one carrying it out. However, I acknowledge that the contractor could only work with the designs that's being presented. So you have two problems
I
there.
don't know what's going on with road. I know I go on the seawall every day with my dog. And I know 2 weeks ago they did over Water Street from the Marriott right down. And I saw holes already. Yeah.
So the government, the Ministry of Public Works, got a what you call, I think, a force account department, which basically does emergency works. It might not necessarily be a contract, so they do like emergency works around the place if needs to be done. Like Diamond Road needs emergency work all the time. They haven't paved that for a long time, but it is what it is. Good evening, caller. Hello. Hello.
Is this Gildarie?
Yes, it is. This is the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon Show. Go right ahead. Hello.
Yes, please.
Yes, go right ahead, please. You
Mr.
got to lower that
Gildarie?
volume that you have there.
Tune down the
Okay,
volume.
I
So
will. I will.
we're getting another call on the landline. Can you speak up? Sir. Look, we got to
Yeah.
All
take
right,
that
my
call.
apologies. My apologies about that, but when you call, please be ready. Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Go right ahead.
This is the Gildarie Show.
It's not the Gildarie, it's Gildarie and Freddie Kissoon. Go right ahead.
Yes. Yes. I'd just like to raise a point about the floats Republic Day.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, we listen to you. Go right ahead. Make a statement.
Yes, I was hearing that. Yes, I just would like to make a point. I'm hoping the Minister Culture listening to this. You know, kudos to the floats. But we need like 2 designers to come in from Trinidad to big up and enhance the floats better over there. That's all I would like to see, you know what I'm saying? We need some of them Trinidadians to come and help us with them floats over there. You know what I'm saying? That's all I want to say.
All right. Thank you very much. Freddie Kissoon, is it that we don't have designers in Guyana or are they not being given a chance? Do we know anything with that?
Well, I still believe we should have our own people anyway. Why Trinidadians anyway?
No, but are they being
Trinidad
given a
had
chance?
a longer experience in those kinds of things.
Good evening, caller. Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, quick question for you with regards of these road construction. Hi, could you hear me?
Yeah, we hearing you. You go right ahead.
Okay, with regards to these construction of roads in Guyana, I'm a contractor myself living in North America. Don't we have an oversight body that looks over the construction of these roads and the preparation prior to putting on the asphalts, or is just
No, they have to. The ministry have the final jurisdiction and they have the final supervisory role. I mean, they do. I don't know what's happening. I saw. Yeah.
At the RDC
It's
level,
like
there's a clerk of works, and at the ministry levels, they're engineers.
okay? That's one. But is there enough staff to do the examination prior to pre-construction of the road? Because the prep work is the most important part of the road. Putting on the asphalt is nothing.
No, but what you're raising there is a fundamental. Before you build any road, there are designs, and it tells you the bill of quantities, and your contractor, you know all about that, and it tells you specifically how much sand you got to throw, how much asphalt, and how wide the road is, and so on, and thickness and everything. And you have to build according to that. So if you give half inch when you're supposed to give 3 inch, where the other rest going? You want to make a guess?
So that's the oversight body I'm asking. Like, does the government don't have enough people to do the visual for these? Because
That could be one. The other one is corruption.
oh, Okay,
That
well,
answers the question.
that plays a big part in it. So now we have to figure out a way how to
Well, they're fighting with
eliminate.
it. You got a very serious president who's been talking about it, and I think we got to start naming and shaming. People would be very shocked. I'm
Okay.
getting tired
So
of it because, as a
from
country,
what
as
I'm
a people, yes.
from what I'm gathering, every time I hear someone call in, they're just talking about these roads. And really and truly, I have a place in Corbin Park, and I mean, they did a nice road in Corbin Park, don't get me wrong, but it's the same situation, like the drains are not cast, and when the rain falls, the water wash off, and then eventually the truck comes in, and there goes. They just did one in Annandale where Annandale, he went to Annandale with the president. They did the cross street, I think, to the school, and it's already done, start falling apart.
There was a time when we barely had enough money to just build the road, and Freddie, you know this. We just used to do crush and run and things like that. Now that we have the money, there could be no excuse of poor designs
But
or poor oversight.
But I am going to talk to Minister Indar. That's a very nice gentleman. And I'm going to tell him from the time we had these call-in programs, there are a lot of calls and
Yeah, because
complaints
it
about the
cannot be
roads.
you have a
The
design,
roads,
there's
the
no
roads,
question
the
about the
roads. There's a
design.
lot
So
of
I
complaints
met
about the roads.
Minister Indar when I was in Guyana and met one agile, and they're both good guys, to be honest with you. But I think the government need to add a little bit more task force into the and due diligence need to be there, because when the Chinese did the highway from East Coast, they prepped that East Coast and they put down the mat in, and East Coast highway is pretty decent.
Yep.
Every time we use the local person, we're having this issue, and it has to stop because it's taxpayer dollars.
All right, we got you.
Anyway,
I got what you're saying there. Thank you very much. I think some very good points there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Right.
you.
Good evening, caller. Hello. All right, I don't think the caller is ready. Yes. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Yes, you go right ahead. We listen.
Okay, Gildarie is talking about people calling into him and asking him, telling him about the road, which is not being done right by the contractor, and he is telling the person to go to the contractor. That's causing conflict. There must be
No, sir. No, sir.
procedure.
No, sir. You're not listening to me. I was making a
What?
point, and if you were listening, I was saying to people, I wanted to wake people up. This is not the first time I've said it. If you go into any launching of any major project, and Freddie Kissoon knows this as well, the minister is going to stand up, or anybody who's launching it, the NDC chairperson is going to tell you, please be the citizens' eyes for us. You make sure that these contractors are doing it. Now, you don't have to go and confront the contractor. There are many ways to do it. If you have a big bad boy attitude, you could do that. But you could also take a picture and take a picture of the name on the vehicles and so on. There are many ways to do that.
Leonard, you're missing the whole
All right,
thing.
let me hear you.
This is road which is already built. He's not there. He did build a year ago. How would he find the contractor there? He have to make a complaint after a road has been built for over a year.
But wait a minute. When that road was casted, was he? I was asking if he was around there. When they had just finished it, the contractor would still be on site. They don't leave immediately, and you would have seen things that were happening to it.
No, he wouldn't know there. Come on, he would not know at that time. You'll see after a period of time, if the road done, he would not able to say, well, look, this road has done, very good today. But come on, 2 months, 3 months, then he noticed the problem.
No. I hear what I'm saying, and I hear the point that you're saying. There are many people, Guyanese people, are intelligent people. When a street is being built or a road is being built, they could tell you. They could tell you when something is going wrong. And if you're living in a street, I pay very close attention. I'm not sure if other residents do that, other citizens.
Okay.
But you pay very
Okay.
close attention to what is happening, and hence my point. Do you have a house there? Are you living there? Because surely you would have seen something going
No,
wrong
but this
from the
gentleman has a
inception.
point, though.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
but he has. I
He has a
understand what you're
point.
saying there. Some people don't know, and you don't want conflicts with the
But
people.
he has a point. I don't know a damn thing about engineering. So if you
No,
go,
but you got people in the street.
but
No.
if you go and talk,
But I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying,
if you
sir.
go and talk to the contract, he could, you know,
Uh, Thank you very much for coming through.
Okay.
Good. Very good point by the caller there. Good evening, caller. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Go right ahead.
I would want to say, as an engineer, I would like to voice an opinion that I would have had. Myself and other engineers would have shared the same sentiment.
Which is a sentiment?
One of it would have been the starting with the design.
Yes.
First and foremost, the design currently used, in my opinion, it would have been, let's say, somewhat prehistoric in the sense that all of our roadways should be designed with a particular load capacity. For example, the type of vehicles running on the road, the size of trucks, etc. With the current design maybe being used, maybe it would have catered for those 11-ton or 14-ton capacity trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, the large trucks, they're originally designed for mining applications in which the road would have been specifically made to support those type of loads. Currently, with the size of trucks that I would have witnessed maybe running through the length and breadth of Guyana right now, with the amount of construction that we have going on, it would have basically exceeded maybe most of the roads, because if you're increasing in weight, you may have to dig deeper to do better foundations, maybe extend, to share the weight, maybe making it a bit wider, or to add reinforcements in some way, shape, or form.
Right. You're saying the abuse of the roadways of the
When
particular
that
areas.
doesn't happen, I mean, first of all, the land area that we have to accommodate the road is fixed, because persons would have already had their properties there, so that limits the way in which or how much land is available for the government to, make the changes. And you can go on maybe many different things that you can point out, but at least I would say with the development that we have catered, in connection with the oil and gas that we have here, a lot of planning should be done to accommodate this. Most of the trucks that we have right now are the double axle 20-ton. Nobody wants the small sand trucks anymore. Everybody wants the big double axle trucks to go with their load to drop off, which means that is the minimum demand that will be running towards all of these locations.
Which is a
but
contributing factor.
this guy has a point.
Yes, yes.
Those kinds of trucks, Water Street have Munishwal and those kinds of trucks that traverse Water Street to go into John Fernandez and go into Munishwal, that road is going to be constantly broken up.
But well, thank you very much for coming through there. Very, very pertinent points. And I'm going to say something as soon as you come up there with what a government official told me. So, a government official told me, I asked him about...
This program is
No. It gets...
I know it's important,
you know what is good? So,
roads,
there's two things that is good for
If
me,
you're
Freddie
listening, you
Kissoon.
got any opinion
It's
about
crazy.
politics or economics
You know what is good?
or human
is that
rights?
people start paying attention to the quality of work, to how the taxpayers' dollars are being spent. That's if you're paying taxes. But I asked a government official, I said, but how why y'all don't build a proper road? He said, Gildarie, if you have $10 million budget and you got 400 roads to do, right? And each one of them is within the constituents, the people who vote for you. What you going to do? It's better you put caution one and buy build five of them, and you know, 5 years from now you're gonna build it again. He said that's the thing. But now that same argument cannot hold with when you have the oil money that coming in. But then the money is not infinite. The money is finite right now. It's gonna run out if you don't know how to manage it. So what are the projects are you gonna do? So we caught between a rock and a hard place. You have to but you have to insist also, Freddie, that you have good quality work, and this is what these people are saying. They're basically raising the issue. So hold on, let me see. Good evening, caller. Hello.
Good night, good night.
Good night. Lower that volume right away, please.
Yes, sir. Good night. I like to raise an issue.
You gotta take off that the volume that you have there speeding back to us.
Okay, come off from that.
Yeah. Go right ahead.
Yes, since 2012 I applied for a house lot, right?
Yes.
And when I applied for the house lot, I applied in Semtis in New Amsterdam, Semtis 6, and I take a transfer to Region 4. And when I applied to Region 4A, I went out and reached with the Vice President and Mr. Colin Crow at the Unity ground there. And then promised me them to see with me if me get a land because I buy fishing boat and them thing, set up myself. So other day gone and call me to me that was never give me till in man trip. When me go left my fishing boat, when me go put my fishing boat at a Vice President say you see with me to give me right in Hope, when get them give out A and B land in Hope. And then they want to give me here. When they want me to do my fishing boat, sell it out.
But is there lands available in where
where you are, the government have house lots?
Yes, right now they want to open a scheme in Hope that you throw A and B land.
But they could offer you land in a different place, but you could refuse that. You have I understand.
No, but you want a lot where you're based, where you have your business, your boat, right? Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, but it has to do with availability. So if there's available lands.
He said they have available lots where you are.
Yes, you get lots here. Right now they open the scheme here.
Well, then you need to go into housing and you need to raise the case there with them.
I'm going to housing up to 2-3 days now back coming from housing.
And what to tell you?
So nobody not get time with you.
Who you talk to?
Nobody don't want to hear your concern. I'm going to Batam and they give me a number to go upstairs when you're by the people there want to look after people there when I go and explain.
That ministry is a nightmare. That ministry is a nightmare. I had experience with that, helping other people.
Call me afterwards. Call me tomorrow on the same number here. And I'm going to send your number to Minister Colin Crowell. And you could text him, send him a message, whatever. You could call him. He's a very approachable minister, that I do know. And let us see where it goes from there.
You got my cell number, call me. Mr. Cole is all right guy. I know him, I can talk to him.
I think it is reasonable to expect that if you have lands in your area,
that's logical,
and you have a business,
rational.
You want to put your boat. Yeah. It is reasonable to expect.
That. Do you have an email address?
Why get the email address?
Pardon me?
Call Freddie Kissoon. All right, call Freddie Kissoon. Call Freddie Kissoon 614-5927.
And we'll talk.
And he's going to
give me your email address and we can talk. Okay. Right. Your position is very reasonable. Nobody can refuse.
Yeah, if there's lands in his area that he's looking at. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I don't think it's unreasonable for him to say that thing. All right. Go ahead, caller. Good evening. Hello. I don't think they're ready. All right, let's go ahead. Good evening, caller. Yes, good evening. Hi.
Hi.
Yes, go.
I'm calling regarding, I was listening to a conversation about roads being broken up.
Roads again.
In Guyana. And I was wondering why aren't roads and buildings and any structure, bridges are not being built to a certain code or standard?
Well, that is where the conversation is right now.
But who said they are not being built to certain standards? Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but You can't say generally they're not being
I
built to
think they're
standards.
being built to designs, but I think what the engineer called a short while back, and what that engineer is contending, that there are several factors that could lead to roads being eroded or broken up very quickly. One could be poor designs, and the other is the abuse of those roadways. You know that the government, I think,
Poor designs mean that it's not being built to standard or a code. There are international standards and codes, engineering codes for building roads. And I see in Guyana, it seems like there's no adherence to any kinds of codes. Guyana doesn't have to reinvent codes. These things are already there, right? International standards for building roads and structures, whether bridges, and they're built according to their needs.
yes, we hear your point, and I think this is a debate that will continue because at the heart of it, Freddie,
We're going to have the
lies.
chief engineer
Yeah.
on this program.
Yeah,
We're
at the
gonna-
heart of it would lie the quality of work and how taxpayers' dollars are being spent. I think we have to have the conversation and start holding. I think the president would be interested in this, and the ministers should be interested in this too. How dollars are being spent and ensuring that the people of Guyana get the kind of quality of work and the services that they so deserve, not expect but so deserve.
Yes.
And I thank you very much for that.
Lynn Mentis is like when I was a little boy. That road is still there. It's still working, still functioning.
Which road is
But
that,
new
sir?
roads-
I didn't catch that. Which road
I
is
think
that?
this was like Linden Highway.
This is like the Linden Road.
Right,
Highway.
right.
Yeah, that was built more than 50 years ago.
Well, you should have seen it.
No,
over
no,
the
that
years.
road, that road went through some repairs.
Yeah, it went
that
through
road
some,
went through
but
some
but
repairs.
but for years it was in the
We have the
70s. I think
less
it was
now.
built, right? But we hear what you're
Yes.
saying there, and I thank you very much for that. Very good points. Thank you. Good evening, caller. Hello.
Gentlemen,
Good evening, sir.
I would like to ask you guys, right, if you could get somebody from GRE, from the Mortgage Relief Department.
Mortgage
Somebody-
relief. Yes, let me hear about that.
Now, I had applied for a loan from Republic Bank over 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I moved my loan from Republic Bank to Scotiabank. So it means I had been paying interest to Republic Bank for the past 5 years. So I moved my loan over to Scotiabank now, and I paying that loan for almost 4 years now. So now I went into GRE last year to apply for this mortgage relief for the first time. Since October, this going on to the third month of a new year. Done all the interview, submit all the necessary documents from both banks, and not a reply from GRE up to now. And they keep running, they keep phoning them. When you phone them, the answer machine coming on, the time your credit done pay your phone. You put in credit in your car back again, they got you for hold. Everything's verified, all the documentation inside. We're going to get back to you. Weeks pass, nobody get back to you. Call back again, the same thing. They check the system, everything they actually submit, it's in the system, we get back to you. And this will keep hearing that.
And this is since October.
Yeah.
Since October, November, December, January, February. 5 months? No, the president.
All the, and everything
See,
submit
this is
when
it.
you call them, and
You-
they check the system, they tell you, you submit everything, you did the interview, everything, we can look into it.
You know.
I want you to call through the
things- these things
switchboard.
can't be right, you know.
Must call through the switchboard and ask for a gentleman by the name of Rohan Biku. While he's the comptroller of customs, he's a very approachable gentleman. But we're gonna ask him.
Tell him Freddie Kissoon and Gildarie ask him to look at your case.
Right, he's gonna revert you to somebody. But
Yes,
we're gonna
talk to
invite
talk to
GRA as well to the program here because I think
No, but not
they have
5
to come
months,
right.
man.
No.
5
It
months?
is on, and this is what the president and the ministers cannot see everything. The delivery of services is very important.
Godfrey,
Maybe the system is
Here the
broken.
next thing. I refinance my mortgage now. So it means this year, I got put it in for this year relief now. And if you don't get through with over 10 years relief, and you're applying for this year now, when do you get through with this one too?
Yeah, look, call Biku and quote our name. Say you spoke to us and we ask him to help you out.
All right,
These,
Freddie, just in case I remember the name, I'm going to send you a text for your WhatsApp
yeah.
or Gildarie, and just
Send it to Gildarie. He has WhatsApp. I don't have WhatsApp. I have a Mango Pelter.
Thank you very much for coming through, sir.
You're welcome.
Bye bye.
That's
I
five,
don't
5 months
understand.
cannot be.
Yeah, but I don't
cannot
understand.
That's heartbreaking.
I think I need a stiff drink after this. I'm not a drinking person. I can't Freddie for a drink.
You drink. No, I don't drink.
Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening, sir.
You need a drink too, sir?
Yeah, I
Go right ahead.
What are
seem
you
to
doing?
tune into your program at the right time.
Yes.
When you guys are talking about road.
Oh God, roads again.
Yeah. Because it's just this evening I was driving up the East Bank and I saw a pothole and I came out of my car and took a picture of the hole and I was surprised to see that the asphalt, the layer of asphalt was a mere 2 inches, you know.
It's about 2 inches?
Where is that? Where is that?
Little after New Hope, there is a pothole there. And you could see after 2 inches, then you would see the red stuff under there. And I compared that to an image I saw online when they had this earthquake in Turkey. And I saw
Turkey, not Turkey. Don't say Turkey anymore. Turkey.
Well, that's right, yeah.
They officially changed their name.
Yeah, and I saw
Turkey.
there, you know, those people, their roads, they have like 7 or 8 inches thick asphalt, you know. I don't know where the engineer, I mean, I'm not putting down the University of Guyana, but I would really like to know where these people have graduated, if during their studies, if they didn't tour, like they didn't went on tour on other cities, because I have children who graduate from North American universities, and during their studies they would visit like Europe, they would visit France, and they would have first-hand views of roads and buildings and how it's done, because it's strange for an engineer to approve a project or be part of something if you know that, I mean, 20-ton truck, we can't stop 20-ton trucks from driving on the road. That's the kind of trucks the Chinese are bringing them, Mahindra coming, who are coming. You know, that's the kind of truck we will be seeing. I mean, it's too much to ask for road to be built with concrete foundation, but I know that's the standard in most of the developed countries. They put concrete foundation. Sand can work if you compress it properly, but the asphalt, this asphalt is too thin. You know,
Well, even see with the trucks open
you
these
know,
bank,
and
definitely.
to do better with this thing. You know, that's number one, my first point. The other thing is, about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I used to drive on Sheriff Street. Sheriff Street was a 4-lane road, 2 northbound, 2 southbound. They expanded this road. They made the road wider. And even though they made this road wider, it's now reduced to 2 lanes, 1 north, 1 south. With all the bicycle lane and all this thing that these people are going to Europe and they're seeing this fancy neighborhood and all these things, the bicycle people we on the road is these men with grass cutter walking around, riding around to look for yards for cut grass. We don't have that large number of people riding bicycle on the road. People in Europe work in offices. They use the cycling as a form of exercise and they look at like a green city. We have this bicycle lane on Sheriff Street, and if you any time of the day you would see cars park up on this lane. It's a waste of precious space.
All right, we got you, but thank you very much for coming through. Very good points.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Good evening, caller.
Hello, good night. I'm calling from the Grove area. I live in Grove, obviously.
Grove Housing Scheme is Bank Demerara, yes.
Yeah, I'm calling concerning the roads.
Oh God.
Which roads is that?
Number one, the main road. The main road is stressed coming in from the highway to inside. But I'm talking about the community roads.
Yes.
The roads is going to always break up. The roads are too narrow. 2 cars cannot pass. I got a house in Diamond. I got in Scheme right here. I got a nice lawn, and people got to drive on my lawn.
I get tired
That's
though.
right, there's no shoulders in the road. People are driving on the lawn, on the parapet. You have to drive on the parapet. There's no other way, or you got to wait to the corner till the other car comes through.
Well, let me ask you a question. Where do they start? Where do they end? Because they got so much of roads in there and they got to fix. Oh, my goodness.
Look, there's a car coming.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, but thank you very much, dear Grove, and have a good night.
Right, in my neighborhood, all the roads breaking
All
up
right.
in the same region.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Thank you very much for coming through. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
A good night to the Grove people, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Good evening, caller. Hello.
Pleasant good evening, guys.
Good evening, sir.
I'm calling from Canada.
Sure.
I'm listening to your program and very much interested to share some of my experience concerning roads. I'm working with a company where we're doing roads here,
Yes.
and we're doing the tracks for the trains. Right now, what these contractors supposed to be doing, and you're supposed to have an on-site engineer overseeing the job, so that when they're doing this foundation, if there's a soft spot, they need to excavate it, fill it with sand, then 2-inch stone, then 1-inch stone, then the crush and run. But in the same way, you do compaction all the time before you do the asphalt. And with that, you would have a stronger foundation. You won't have sinkage, and you won't have edge broken, because at each stage, you do compaction before
What you're talking about there is basically the oversight and the supervising from the engineers.
So the person who is overseeing this job done, they must be held responsible.
Exactly. But you want me to tell you something? When the government got to pay, this thing has come up many times before, what you call the Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament. And that's where the opposition and the government sits. And when the Auditor General would account and they go and examine works, and they would find, hold on, why did you pay $90 million for $40 million of work that was done? And they would go to the contractor year after year, and they would go to the engineer, and then there's a silly excuse. And nobody goes to jail or anything. But guess what? When you dig into it and you find out from a reporting perspective, you find out there's only one reason why an engineer would sign off that would allow a contractor to get paid. You want to guess what that is?
No, I don't want to guess
Under the
that.
table.
Gildarie, be careful.
All right, I'm not saying, I call the
calling.
names, Freddie Kissoon. I could say what it is. Thank you very much for coming through there, Canada.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, brother.
I thank you very much for coming through. You made some valid points.
Punishing.
Yep. Thanks.
We got to start opening up our mouth, and we got to start discussing these things. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much there, Canada. And let me see, it's 9:52. Freddie Kissoon, we've been listening to the people. I'm sure you got another call coming in, but you want to say anything?
No.
What do we do?
No,
Take
no.
a people call?
I hope it's. There's so much to talk about, but let's see if it's.
Tonight is roadkill.
Oh,
Tonight is roadkill. Thank you.
Overkill.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, sir.
Hi.
To both of you.
Yes, sir.
Could anyone tell me in there or anybody listening, a truck less than any one of the sandpit on the Linden Highway, whether it's Stan or Loop, could anybody tell me where there is a scale to weigh that truck to make sure it is coming with a limit that is authorized to travel on any road in this country?
I want to ask you. I want to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Are there any regulation that stop any kind of truck from coming into this country? Who regulates it?
But
That's what I'm saying.
No, but the same but Saul. But why you the same argument applies to those containers? Those containers
Already
are all
there's
over.
nothing. There's
those
nothing.
containers are far heavier than those.
For 10 years now, as a reporter, I've been hearing of consecutive authorities talking about the introduction of scales along these banks.
Exactly.
And I've not seen anything. I don't understand.
Nobody does anything in this country.
No, but we have money now. We can do it. But you have to talk about it.
The last time we hear a current minister of work was bombarded that how a previous minister paid for 2 scales, 70-something million. And up to now, we can't even see the receipt. But nobody getting locked up from when the big...
Me got to ask in there about that.
Yes,
You
yes,
don't
that
get problem.
that was in the
Little
press.
guy
Yeah, yeah.
on the
Okay,
road
so
get jailed.
right, we're running out of time. Thanks for coming.
Hey man,
through.
you raised a good
Thank you,
point there. I
man.
love
Next
it.
time.
Yeah, man, I
Right.
love it. Thank you very much for coming through. Freddie
Let's see
Kissoon
if
is
there's
a.
any call about
Hey,
human rights. Or,
let me see. There's one call, last call overseas. Let's go. Good evening, caller. Hello.
Hi, Leonard.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm calling from New Jersey.
New Jersey. Good night, New Jersey.
I recently come back. I come like about 10 days now from Guyana.
Yes.
And while I was here, I spent like a month.
yes, yes. Continue. Time is going.
Yeah,
Continue, sir.
they make a road. They
Oh,
make
God.
a road. They silent dam. They make a concrete road. And somebody pass a high mark over the dam, over the street, and they break it up.
Where is this?
And number 64 village,
Number 64 village. Shame on you.
opposite beach entrance.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for that.
And the president was supposed to go there to
Okay.
open a house.
We gotta go. Time
And I
going.
was trying to talk to the president, but I cannot get to him because all these big people, the regional chairman and those people are in front. You cannot talk to him. I was trying to talk to him about the road. What happened there?
All right.
I got what you say in there. I thank you very much for that.
Okay.
And I got
Thank
so
you.
much complaint, but it's time to short. I always listen to you guys' program.
I
Okay,
thank you very
thanks,
much
sir.
for coming through and good night, New Jersey. Freddie Kissoon, you know, I have a fundamental problem with that, what the caller said, and maybe in your closing you could address it. Why is it that we got to go to the president to complain? Why can't we go to RDC or a NDC chairperson? Why can't we go to the engineers and complain or to the contractors and say, why you're doing your damn job? You,
Let me see
are
what
we,
this caller said.
no, you want to take caller? You want to say
No,
something? I don't know. You
I
want to
don't.
take-
I
yeah.
want to give the caller. the
Yeah,
chance.
caller, good evening.
Hoping it's not road again.
Good evening, Mr. Freddie and Mr. Bilal.
Good evening.
One of the concern is that everyone is finding problem with this and problem with that and problem with this. But we don't see the small. It might look small to some of you, but it's very, very large. Our opposition followers are continue being fooled by their leaders, and nothing is being done about it. You guys address all type of everything, but nobody fact check these politicians, what they are saying. And they continue to fool people, which is very serious. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying.
No, you said that the opposition people are being fooled.
Opposition leaders fooling people.
Fooling the people.
Okay, let me put it this way. The politicians fooling the people. And some news entity needs to fact check these politicians.
Of course.
There's supposed to be people fact checking these people. Because if you go to Chicago, you would hear these things from the people that they're saying that doesn't make any sense, and most coming from the opposition followers that doesn't have a clue of nothing. That is in the dark, continue to be in the dark.
I got what you're saying. We out of time. Thank you very much for coming through there. Good point.
Yes.
Freddie Kissoon, how much parliamentarians we got?
I don't know.
But whole land.
6 to 5.
How much of them to say complaints like this?
I think I think the government, I keep saying on these call-in programs, when I was younger, there was one radio station owned by the government and it had a program called Action Line. And I know that there was so much problems in those days. When people call in, there was someone taking these calls and they would act on it. The GBC, the radio station, had such an avenue. We here, this is a private company and we don't have the resources. But what these call-in program show is that the DPI of some ministry should have such a system that when people could call in, they should have a weekly program a weekly calling program like ministry. I don't know which one is the ministry or DPI. And when those calls are made, you have a secretariat in the ministry taking down these things, and then they filter it to the different ministries, the different public institutions. And that is how you're going to get redress. I mean, one caller said, we got these calling programs, and what are they achieving? And that's because we don't have the resources. But I guess time has caught up on us.
Absolutely, and as one lady on the program has said tonight, she says that all roads lead to our bed now. It's roadkill night, ladies and gentlemen, and it's as always has been a
All roads
pleasure.
lead to the roads.
All road lead to our bed tonight, and we have people here with a good sense of humor. But at the end of the day, what is good for me, the good thing that I'm taking away from this program, Freddie, is that our people are starting to wake up and starting to question and starting to demand that they must have service and quality of service, and which is a good thing. And I like that. The kind of level of conversation is being raised. We raised in the bar. We started trying to put people on the spotlight, the contractors and the engineers and so on. It's a combination of fault, and we see different side of the argument. The engineer is given his side, the people are given their sides. At the end of the day, they're seen what it is that the roads that are being produced for them, what is it that happens after a few months, and people are not happy. Nobody wants to see the money being wasted. Not Freddie Kissoon, not Gildarie. Freddie, I don't know if you want to say anything quick, but it's been a pleasure.
I'm fine.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh,
Freddie
yes,
and
I want to
myself.
say something quickly. If the cameraman could focus back on me. I'm glad the snake didn't bite you.
Yeah,
But that
folks,
is not a biting snake.
I'm not
that
sure
was,
what
that
it
was
is.
that harmless snake that you should have picked up with your hand and
Yeah, but did
threw
that
away.
pick up a snake and throw it away?
Oh, several times when you know them, they're all over the place. Those are harmless snakes. Not that I ever picked them up recently. I'm talking about when I was a small boy.
I don't like things that slither, Freddie Kissoon, and I don't know. Probably I
And
got
if you don't like
I got a
things that
fear of it.
If you don't like things that slither, Homo sapiens is a slithering
Maybe
species.
there's the argument. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. As always, it depresses me sometimes to hear that people complain about these things. But guess what? This is what we're here for, and I hope that we've been of service to you, Freddie and myself. We will continue to be of service to you. And you have a good evening, good weekend, and we see you back on Monday. Take care. Until then, Freddie Kissoon, Gildarie, or Gildarie Freddie Kissoon Show signing off.